So as you gathered from Dr. Najar's talk and from Sabrina's, resistance to immunotherapy is one of the big hurdles we face, that after response, a substantial fraction, half of our patients lose their response. And in that setting, the reversal of this resistance to immunotherapy has been a goal of many of our trials over the years. So the next talk will be given by Nosa Eiler-Humwa, who's a second-year fellow who's taken this challenge on, who's actually followed up on a very interesting talk that we had at one of the national meetings a year ago that introduced a new antagonist to the opioid receptors that seem to reverse immunotherapy resistance in mouse models. And what Nosa will talk to you today about is a trial which is actually very close to activating, which will test this opioid antagonist as a way to reverse PD-1, that is to say pembrolizumab Keytruda or Opdivo nivolumab resistance, which are really the biggest challenges we face in the clinic. Nosa.
Hi, everyone. Good morning once again. And I want to thank Dr. Cockwood for the opportunity to talk to you about a trial that we are about to open at the UPMC. And just like the previous speakers have all talked about, our biggest concern it's about those patients with melanoma who seem not be doing very well or responding to the immunotherapy that we're giving. And our question is just kind of like, how can we make these treatments work better for these patients? And that's one of the reasons why we are looking at this clinical trial. And essentially, immunotherapy has really changed, the treatment paradigm in melanoma. Patients are living longer; they are doing better, and that's really something that is very exciting for us in the field. But unfortunately, not every patient do well. And as Dr. Najar talked about 50% of patients will not do well, even with this standard immunotherapy. So patients will respond initially, and, suddenly they will start, doing very poorly on these medicines. And so today I'm actually going to be sharing an idea about how to potentially tackle this problem. I'm just going to quickly summarize how immunotherapy works. Immunotherapy, there are special type of medicines, and essentially when cancer cells form in the human body, the body tries initially to get rid of these cancers by using its own immune system. And it's the common type of cells in the immune system that fight these cancers, they are called the T cells. And what happens is that, after a while, these cancer cells become very smart, and then they put forth their brake system to kind of apply brakes on this immune system. And what happens is that the immune system stops working. So what immunotherapy does is to take off the brakes off the cancer cells so that the immune system, that is the T cells, can continue to do their function. But the challenge is that after a while, the cancer cells get even more smarter, and they begin to produce certain type of proteins that will prevent the immunotherapy from working. Essentially, we call that treatment or immunotherapy resistance. And usually what we do is that when we find ourselves in such scenario, a patient who was doing very well on immunotherapy and suddenly they are not responding, or ab initio, the patient is not even responding, one of the things we do is to add more immunotherapy medicines, right? But unfortunately, we know that doing that may even increase, the side effects of this medicine because they are not completely harmless. So instead of us asking if we could give stronger or more immunotherapy, we decided to ask, for these patients who were doing well or not doing well in immunotherapy, are there some things in the body that are blocking the immune system from attacking this melanoma? And is there a way we can potentially take off this block so that the treatment could work better? And that led us to the opioid system. And many of us are very familiar with opioids, oxycodone, morphine. We know them as pain medicines. But interestingly, the body forms or makes its own opioids, and these are called endorphins. These endorphins, together with the opioids that we take, they bind to a special type of protein in the body. One of them is called the mu opioid receptor. But what many people don't know is that the opioids, whether the ones we take in or the ones produced by the body, they have a way of affecting the immune system. And so what this essentially means is that it could potentially reduce the effectiveness of the immunotherapy that a patient is getting. And this is what we've learned from research. And this is largely from experiments conducted in animals. We found that, that these opioid proteins, right, they can reduce the number of immune cells that enter the tumor to fight the cancer. And they can also make the tumors to become invisible to the immune system. And that essentially means that, and this can potentially mean a patient who was doing quite well and suddenly, is not doing well again. And that's because of these opioids. And we've also learned from animal experiments that blocking this opioid protein could have potentially reversed or restored immune activity against the cancer. But this has not been tested in human melanoma cancers. And this is the reason why we're looking at this study. And the big idea is this opioid proteins that is produced by the body, and for those patients who are on opioids for pain, if we block these proteins, is it possible? It's possible that we could help the immune system, the immune cells, right, enter the tumors and then begin to function and fight against the cancer. And essentially, this is what this study is all about. So the clinical trial is actually looking at a new oral medication that has the potential to block these opioid proteins and then help the immunotherapy to work better for patients whose melanoma is no longer responding to this, to the current immunotherapy. And the opioid protein, the name is axelopran, and it blocks the activity of the opioid protein, but outside of the brain. So it doesn't have a lot of side effects like sedation that will come with some of these opioids that work at the level of the brain. And it does not affect pain control. So a patient who is taking, for example, oxycodone for pain could essentially continue that because the axelopran will not affect the pain. And it doesn't cause opioid withdrawal, and it has been found to be safe in early studies. And it's just a pill that is taken. It's not an infusion. It is not IV or anything subcutaneous. And in terms of who can participate in this trial, again, people who have melanoma that arise from the skin, which we call cutaneous melanoma, and those who have received immunotherapy previously, and they are no longer responding to this treatment. These are the people that we're looking at. Essentially, we're looking at enrolling about 30 patients for this trial. And the treatment, everybody's going to get the same treatment, and essentially it's going to be a combination of this pill with Opdivo, which is an immunotherapy. And what we're essentially looking for, one, is this combination safe, right? That's usually for studies like this, we want to be sure that, even though individually, axelopran has been found to be safe, nivolumab has been found to be safe, but we just want to be extra cautious that combining these two medicines together will be safe for our patients. And then we want to find out, given these patients this medication, this combination of drugs, will it cause the cancer to respond better to treatment? And will it cause the cancer to shrink or stop growing? And will it also cause more immune cells to enter into the tumor? And like I said before, essentially the immune cells are the ones that fight the cancer. The immunotherapy just help or boost the effect of the immune cells in fighting the cancer. We decided to take this different approach, because we we're trying to look for, are there more effective but ways of improving immunotherapy, but not increasing the number of immunotherapy medicines that a patient takes. Because, the more the number of immunotherapy medicines, like the previous speaker presented, we're likely going to have more immune-related side effects. And we're trying to reduce that. We're not just looking at killing the cancer, but we don't want to put the patient in a position where their quality of life is so much more compromised. And this is an oral medication, which kind of will improve in terms of compliance. You don't have to come to the hospital to take the medication. You could take it within the comfort of your home. The only time you will come to the hospital is when you need your Bevo. And it looks at an entirely different pathway that may interfere with the cancer treatments. And what this could mean is that it could help patients whose cancer stopped responding to immunotherapy. And it will also offer a potentially more tolerable treatment alternative. We've talked about the other treatment alternatives for some of these group of patients, injections, but this offers a more tolerable and even a more cost-effective approach to taking care of this cancer. And it could also open new doors for treatment in other cancers because there's an increase in the use of immunotherapy in other cancers, not just melanoma. So if these were to work, they could actually be translated to other cancers. So the benefit will not just be with patients who have melanoma, but other patients who have other cancers. If this works, this could actually also be tested in other cancers. But it is important for me to emphasize here, first of all, this is a clinical trial. So what this means is that we're still learning more about this. And we don't know if it's going to work. We hope it does. And in the safety, throughout the entire period of the trial, safety, we're going to be carefully monitored, and participation is entirely voluntary. And a patient can actually, if someone signs in for the trial, the patient can actually withdraw anytime within a trial. So it's not compulsory, it's entirely voluntary. This really matters to us because, we've talked about, 50% of patients respond to immunotherapy, but we're very excited about that, but we're really very bothered about the other 50% who don't respond. We care deeply about improving outcomes in our patients. And we frequently will encounter, patients in our clinic who are no longer responding to treatment. And we need new ideas to take care of this. And this is one of those ideas that is firmly grounded in science. I really want to acknowledge all our patients here for the support, you give to us in paying it forward by enrolling in many of these clinical trials. It is really not very convenient. And, but you are paying it forward for the next generation of patients who may have to deal with this cancer. And for that, we're really, really grateful. And I'm also very grateful for the collaborators at the Melanoma Center, our research team, and Dr. Kokod, who has been an amazing mentor to me. And hopefully we'll be able to get to a point where we'll boost the response rate in patients who have melanoma more than the traditional 50% that we already have. And doing that at very much reduced toxicity, not just toxicity in terms of the symptoms, but also in terms of the cost. And I really want to thank you, everyone, for listening, and I'm open to questions.